Hey everyone, you're watching We Had That, and today I'm going to talk about the 1989 Wave 8 G.I. Joe Gnawgahyde Dreadnok action figure. As a fan of G.I. Joe right from the launch of the Real American Hero line in 1982, there were a lot of figures that I thought were great over the years. In addition to playing with the figures, I kept up with G.I. Joe's adventures in the Marvel comic book series. It was sometimes frustrating that Hasbro didn't make action figures for some of the characters that I liked in the comic books, and when I read issue number 25 in 1984, I thought that was going to happen with the Dreadnoks. Their first comic book appearance came a year before the figures arrived, and even though this first appearance was just a rough version of what the Dreadnoks would later become, I thought they were great. I even painted one of my straight arm Wave 1 figures in an attempt to make my own Dreadnok figure with very disappointing results. I still remember finding Footloose in the store in 1985 and being super excited to see that Ripper, Buzzer, and Torch were included on the back of the package. I was even more excited when I finally found the Dreadnoks in the store and added those figures to my adventures. I won't say that picking up Zartan's three-man crew was the most excited I ever felt about finding a specific toy, but it was the last time I ever felt so excited about finding toys in the store. I kept playing with action figures for several years, but getting those first three Dreadnoks was really the end of an era for me. As new waves came out, there were more Dreadnoks added to the gang, and I tried to pick up all of them. Monkey Wrench wasn't quite as cool as Ripper, Buzzer, and Torch, but he was close, and he fit in well with the gang. It may have partly been his weapon that I didn't like. It was listed as a harpoon gun, but it shot a trident, which was weird enough. But then when you consider that nothing about him has anything to do with the water, it makes it an even stranger choice for a weapon. Anyway, I didn't get Thrasher or Zanzibar until several years later after I had stopped playing with toys, but I think that Thrasher would have seen a lot of action if I'd had him when he was first released. I thought that the Road Pig action figure was pretty cool, and I specifically remember my father thinking it was funny that his file card said his mother had to tie a pork chop around his neck so the dog would play with him. But I didn't like his split personality in the comic book very much. The last new Dreadnok I found in the stores was Naugahyde in 1989. By then, I wasn't really playing with toys anymore. I'm pretty sure I only picked up 3 figures from that wave, but if there was a new Dreadnok, I was going to get him. According to his file card, Naugahyde was the Dreadnok's resident poacher. I'm not sure why a biker gang would need a poacher, but there you go. It also says on his file card that Naugahyde eats what he can trap and shoot in the wild so that the chemical additives of processed food won't alter his body chemistry and scare off the animals he's hunting. By itself, that actually sounds pretty cool, like maybe this guy does know what he's doing. But it also says on his file card that he was recruited by the Dreadnoks at an all-night donut and grape soda shop, which kind of blows the idea that he's staying away from processed food. Naugahyde's head is sculpted bald with a very wide handlebar mustache, sometimes called a Hungarian mustache, but honestly it's pretty wide even for a Hungarian mustache. His clenched teeth and wrinkled face show that he's angry and intense. He also has an earring on his left ear. He's dressed in an animal print vest, blue jeans, and black boots, which give him somewhat of a Dreadnok meets Kraven the Hunter look. Around his neck, Naugahyde is wearing a necklace with animal teeth or maybe claws and dog tags, apparently trophies from his kills. He has a tattoo on his left arm of the G.I. Joe logo inside a circle with a line through it. Just below this tattoo is a molded armband painted yellow. On his left forearm and hand, he wears a strange spiked strap glove, which I guess serves as an arm guard for his bow. There's a smaller black bracelet on his right arm. There's a green knife molded onto the back of his vest, and around his waist, Naugahyde's wearing a matching green web belt with what appear to be 6 fragmentation grenades and 1 stun grenade molded onto it. A pistol is molded onto his right boot, and on his left boot is a sheath for a silver knife that comes with the figure. I always liked it when you could attach one of the accessories to a backpack or to the figure itself, but unfortunately in this case, the knife doesn't really fit in the boot sheath very well. I can get the knife about 2/3 of the way into the sheath, but you really have to bend it quite a bit for it to even fit in that far. In addition to his silver knife, Naugahyde came with several other accessories. First, he has a silver machete, but unlike a typical machete, this one attaches to Gnawgahyde's wrist. I suppose in addition to being a wrist guard, the black strap glove on his left arm might also be what's used to tie the machete to his arm. I'm not sure why attaching a machete to your arm would be a good idea, but I guess the figure could also just hold it like a normal machete. As I mentioned before, Naugahyde also came with a black bow. His backpack is a quiver of arrows in matching black. He also has a black hunting rifle with a removable bipod, which I like quite a bit. Unlike some G.I. Joe figures with molded-on hats, Naugahyde comes with a removable hat. It looks pretty much like an Australian bush hat. It's a cool hat, and it's nice that it's removable. Lastly, Naugahyde comes with a boar. There's no mention of the boar on his file card, and except for the fact that the boar has a matching earring, I would have wondered if it was supposed to be a wild boar for Naugahyde to hunt. Either way, as I've mentioned before, as a kid, I typically liked it when figures come with animals because it was almost like getting a second bonus figure for free. If this figure had been out just a little bit earlier, that unnamed boar would probably have helped Naugahyde to have a higher priority in my G.I. Joe adventures. As a kid, I didn't know much about Naugahyde. The version of the cartoon that most people seem to remember was produced by Sunbow and ended in 1987 with G.I. Joe the movie. By the time Naugahyde was released in 1989, a second G.I. Joe cartoon was just getting started. The new G.I. Joe cartoon premiered with a 5-part movie, Operation Dragonfire, and Naugahyde was actually one of the main Cobra characters. Interestingly, even though Zorana was also in the movie, Naugahyde was working against her with the Baroness, trying to turn Cobra Commander, who had literally been turned into a snake at the end of the Sunbow cartoon, back into a human. Naugahyde didn't seem to be much of a Dreadnok or a poacher in the cartoon. He was mostly just one of the Cobra characters, and surprisingly, one of the smarter characters involved with Cobra. After Operation Dragonfire, the quality of the cartoons deteriorated pretty quickly, but Naugahyde made several more appearances, often teamed up with the character Metalhead. Even though the second G.I. Joe cartoon series was pretty bad overall, Naugahyde was actually one of the better characters on the show. But honestly, that may not be saying much. Although a lot of people learned about the characters from the G.I. Joe universe through the cartoons, I was a much bigger fan of the comic books. Unlike most of the real American hero figures released by Hasbro, I don't think that Naugahyde ever made an appearance in the original run of the comics. Since I never watched the second series of the cartoon as a kid, I only knew about the character traits of Naugahyde from reading his file card. Aside from that second run of G.I. Joe cartoons, there really wasn't much to know about Naugahyde. I think he appears on the European box art for the Cobra Bug. Road Pig appears in the same place in the USA release of the vehicle, and aside from that, I don't know of any other box art or any other official art from the 80s, for that matter, to feature Naugahyde. I know he's kind of a silly character, but by 1989, most of the G.I. Joe line was pretty silly. At least I can imagine a real-world version of this guy. Even though he's not as cool as Ripper, Buzzer, and Torch, I think he fits in with the Dreadnoks pretty well, and I'm glad to have him in my collection. So what do you think of Naugahyde? Did you have this figure as a kid? Was he right up front in the heat of battle against your G.I. Joe team, or was he left behind stinking up your toy box? Tell me in the comments below. Also, please give this video a like and share it on social media. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell so that you'll be notified when I post new videos. And one last thing, if you're a fan of toys, you should know about Toylanta, the biggest toy show in the southeastern United States, held annually just north of Atlanta, Georgia. Visit Toylanta.com for more information. As always, thanks for watching.